If you'd like to draw more and build a healthy art habit but feel like something's holding you back, then I want to help today by addressing 5 common hurdles that stop us making art and some things that you could do to overcome them. And if you're looking for some art friends on your journey, then I have a free daily art community that you can join via the link in my description with drawing prompts and a really low pressure chat group to help kickstart your art habit. So hurdle number 1, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You might have expectations of yourself to be making really good art every time you sit to draw something, but that pressure can be paralyzing because it makes it seem like there's so much at stake. Maybe you have some really lovely art supplies and sketchbooks but don't use them because you're scared that what you draw won't be worthy of using them. What if you draw something you don't like in your beautiful book? Will it ruin it? Or maybe you're someone who's made great art before or has always been quite creative, but now you struggle to enjoy that creativity because you haven't allowed yourself the freedom to foster it in a pressure-free, just for fun environment. Creativity is a muscle that needs to be exercised, but you can only exercise it by practicing and enjoying what you're making. Art making doesn't need to be a high-pressure activity. It can be silly and temporary and messy and anything else you want it to be. So if you're someone who puts a lot of pressure on themselves when making art, first try to address where that pressure is coming from and ask yourself why it's taking up so much mental space. Sometimes just facing our mental hurdles is enough to diminish them. If not though, don't worry because you're definitely not alone. The next thing you can try is drawing on scrap bits of paper. Collect whatever paper you have that's plain or that you could draw over and make your art on that. Save bits of cardboard from your recycling bin or envelopes from the mail. That paper was going to be thrown out anyway, so anything you create on it is going to make it more beautiful. This gives you a safe, pressure-free space to try out creative ideas without any beautiful sketchbook pages at stake. If you like what you make, then you can keep it and maybe even glue it into a sketchbook. Or if you don't like it, then you can put it in the bin and nobody even needs to know that you made some bad art. But having made it in the first place is great practice for your art and is so crucial to flexing your creative muscle and learning what doesn't work. Every single artist on this planet makes art that subjectively isn't very good, especially when we're starting out and have the biggest learning curve yet to face. It's totally normal. It's a necessary part of the process, and often that bad art is more beautiful than you give it credit for because it's got story. You made it. It came from somewhere within you, and even if it didn't turn out how you expected, you can be proud for allowing yourself the time and space to invest in expressing your creative ideas. If you don't let those ideas out, then they just shrivel up and don't get to see the light of day, which I think is a real shame. Hurdle number 2, you think you're not good enough. You might think that you aren't good at art and therefore shouldn't be trying to make art. You might look at established artists on social media and think that because you can't draw like that yet, that there isn't a point in trying. Maybe you think that one day you'll be better at art and then you can start being an artist. Well, unfortunately, you aren't just going to wake up and magically be a better artist overnight without any practice. Every artist you see has been not very good and then gotten better by spending a lot of time making art. Sure, some people have a natural talent for art and you might feel like you aren't one of those people, but that doesn't mean you can't learn. We all have natural abilities for certain things and it just means that you have a natural talent for something else. But you can learn how to make art that you love the style of. So if you're someone who thinks they aren't good enough at art to make art, then try to remember that everyone starts as a beginner and you're exactly where you're meant to be on your learning journey. Then collect some resources to give you some support in learning new art skills. Find tutorials that are step by step, even if they look too beginner for you, just so that you don't have to worry about what to do and can embrace being a student. I believe that building self-confidence requires a bit of evidence to prove to ourselves that we can do the thing. So to build your confidence in making art, you need to start making art at the easiest entry point for you, even if it's just a flower or a simple face, because any time that you spend making art is proof to yourself that you're learning to be an artist. And if you think that what you're making is not very good, that's not proof that you aren't good enough at art. It's proof that you're a practicing art student and have a lot of exciting things to learn. And that's a great place to be because you can become anything. Hurdle number 3, you don't have much time. You might be someone with a lot on your plate right now, which makes it hard to find the time and energy for your art. Maybe you have family members to care for, a full-time job, studies to do, or personal health stresses. Everything we do takes energy and time, and so it might be much harder for you to take the time to be creative right now. Or maybe you do have a little bit of time during your day but still can't bring yourself to spend it on art because you just don't have the energy after doing all of your other tasks. A lot of responsibilities require doing things for other people, and that takes a mental, emotional, and physical toll on our energy levels. So it's understandable that you might not have a lot of energy left over for yourself. You might feel like you should have more time and energy available at the end of the day, but don't underestimate how physically draining mental and emotional stress can be. Doing things for other people is tiring, even if it's just emotionally looking after them or doing a mentally difficult job. It doesn't have to be physical to take energy. So if you're someone who doesn't have much time or energy for your art, try making art a part of your self-care routine so that it gives you energy back rather than taking more from you. Focus on creative things that make you feel really good and are really easy to do with minimal setup and decision making. Maybe for you right now, it's just coloring in a coloring book. That's still building up an art habit even if you're not making everything from scratch. Maybe it's making little doodles of your day while you relax with some calm music. If you can make art self-care for you, then it's something that'll be easier to make time for because it's something you really enjoy and it's something that will fill your cup rather than empty it. Or you could try getting yourself a tiny sketchbook so that your art doesn't take as long to make. This is something that I've done lately so that I can spend just 20 minutes or so making little drawings. And because the pages are so small, they're far less daunting and they don't take very long to fill a page. Plus, everything is just quicker at a small scale. You still get the satisfaction of filling a sketchbook page and the sketchbook starts to fill up quite quickly, but the scale makes it really manageable. It's small enough to put in a handbag or a jacket pocket and pull out pretty much anywhere to do a quick sketch. Basically, the more you can remove the fuss from your creative practice, the quicker and easier it will be to do, and that's crucial if you're short on time. Hurdle number 4, you don't have any ideas. You might be someone who wants to sit and draw, but when you open your sketchbook to a blank page, you realize that you don't have any ideas for what to draw. You might take inspiration from other art sometimes, but you really just want to come up with your own ideas, and you don't know how other artists do it. Like I said before, creativity is a muscle that needs to be exercised, and that applies to drawing ideas as well. A few years ago, I had no idea what to draw. I just couldn't think of anything original. But after a year of drawing every weekday, I had flexed that muscle enough that I could come up with fun ideas for art off the top of my head. So if you're someone who doesn't have any art ideas, start by finding prompt lists and collecting ideas from other people until you can get your own ideas running. It'll allow you to start creating, which will build your creative muscle, which will make it easier to come up with your own drawing ideas. It also takes away the pressure of needing your own ideas every time. You can just draw from the prompt list until you have your own ideas for that day. There are lots of lists of drawing ideas online, and I've also just added a page on my website that will generate art prompts. So next time you need an idea, just follow the link in my description and I'll generate a prompt for you. You can bookmark the page so that it's easily accessible, and there's an option for simple prompts or more advanced prompts. So then you can try collecting inspiration, which will help you start to generate your own ideas. Take photos of things that you like the look of or beautiful colors that you see out in nature. Build a mood board on Pinterest or with old cut-up magazines. There's inspiration all around us if we want to see it, so try to start seeing the world around you with a lens of what inspires you, and you'll slowly start to see more and more things that you might like to draw. Then you could try brainstorming your own ideas. Think of a topic or theme that you might be interested in drawing and write down all the words that come to mind for it, even if they're things that you're probably not going to draw. It'll help you start training your brain to generate ideas, and it'll also give you a list of things to draw. If you like animals, brainstorm all the animals that you can think of. If you like architecture, brainstorm all the buildings that you'd like to draw. Try not to Google it until you've really run out of ideas, because the point is to flex your creative ideas muscle, and getting the internet to give you the answers won't be as effective. Coming up with creative ideas is something that you need to practice just like every other aspect of making art, so don't let a lack of ideas stop you from starting your art journey. And that brings us to hurdle number 5. You don't know how to get started. You might be someone who'd love to be an artist, but you just truly don't even know where to begin. It might feel like there's a whole ocean between where you are now and the kind of art you want to make, and that's completely overwhelming. Maybe you bought a few art supplies but don't know what to do with them. Or maybe you're worried that there's a right and wrong way to do things, and you'll be doing it the wrong way and other artists will notice. The good news is that nobody knows what they're doing when they start out, and there is no right or wrong way to make art. You should make art however you like and use your art supplies in any way that feels fun to you, even if it isn't how other people use them. So if you're someone who doesn't know how to get started with art, build your own roadmap by working backwards from the outcome you want and breaking down the skills you need to work on to get there. If you want to paint landscapes on canvas, then you'll need to learn how to use paints to get the style of painting you want, and you'll need to learn how to draw landscapes, and both of those two skills can be broken down much further into small steps. Collect tutorials for the skills you want to learn. There's plenty of free content on YouTube, or you could find a local workshop, and then also study the paths that other artists took to get to where you want to go. There are lots of artists on YouTube who share how they learned their skills, and you can use their experiences to help you build your own roadmap for how you might get to a similar position. Then you can try to focus on gently building an art habit so that the getting started part isn't so daunting. Set aside around 20 minutes a day or every other day to make a little bit of art in a sketchbook or on a scrap bit of paper so that you can get started just making something. Even if it isn't exactly the type of art that you're working towards making, having a small art habit helps build up an identity for yourself that you're a creative person who makes art often, and that's a really strong foundation for learning any art skill. Sometimes the thought of starting something feels like a big deal, but if you can just gently start with a small art habit, then you can avoid some of that stress. From there, you can build in more time to learn the bigger skills that you're working on when you're ready. If you're learning to draw, then consider joining me on Patreon, where I host an illustration club every month that you can use for inspiration and accountability. I also have lots of video art tutorials on art basics like color palettes and composition, and step-by-step guides to teach you how to draw things that you can get instant access to. And if you enjoyed this video, then I think you'll really enjoy this other art video too, so just click on the thumbnail on screen to pop it on. I love being able to share these videos with you. I appreciate you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!